akilala kwa madhabahu kuna chemical ilikuja ikawekwa kwa kichwa yake, potassium permanganate.
Potassium
permanganate. When you mix this chemical with water, it turns to be red like a blood. Sasa alitan na kusema huyu mwanamke ako hapa amerogwa na uchawi kwa kichwa yake, na akaitisha maji. So wakati alimwaga, kweli tukaona damu inakaa ni kama mwanamke anatoa damu kwa kichwa. For us, we knew him as a prophet, because that is what we knew from the history that I came to find out.
Okay.
That the bishop now, he gave the money to be given to them because they were among the people that were collected from different places to come and testify a false prophecy.
So the whole ministry was like based on lies and deceit and manipulation.
Manipulation, a lot of sin actually.
You have since reformed. Do you at one point feel sorry for the people that were deceived in your previous past, and Michael Njoroge the late deceived together with your brother Apostle Kevin Favor? Do you feel sorry for those masses?
Yeah, actually it happened a lot. And what I did, I had to confront those people. When I went back to Ruiru, I went and I told them everything.
Yes.
And I told them, whether you stay here or you decide also to go, this is the truth.
Yes.
This was a lie, this was a lie, this was a lie.
Greetings and hello, my name is Robert Rajoro. Welcome to another episode. Today, we are shedding light into the dark underbelly of some religious practices. Joining me in studio today is an interesting gentleman. Before we get to the gentleman, ladies and gentlemen, remember to place a like on this video so that YouTube plays a good algorithm to make sure we are visible. Remember to subscribe. Join us on the journey to 1 million followers. Together, we can get there. Nothing beats the power of a focused mind. Also, press the notifications bell so you get notified whenever we post anything new. Today we are discussing the journey of truth-seeking undertaken by the Apostle Moses Kimotho, a man who once found himself deeply entrenched in the realm of deceit and darkness. He found himself together with his twin brother, the Apostle Kevin Favor, under the guidance of the late controversial preacher Michael Njoroge, who was once synonymous with fake miracles and the deception of the masses. He embarked on a journey of truth-seeking and redemption. Today, he is in studio and he is on standby. He is ready to take us through this journey. And now, without further ado, allow me to let my guest introduce himself. Apostle, karibu sana.
Nashukuru.
How are you feeling today?
I'm good, thank you for asking.
Thank you for honoring the call.
Thank you so much.
Perhaps you could just introduce yourself briefly.
My name is Moses Kimotho. And some people call me prophet, others they call me apostle. But my biological name, the name that I was given by my parents, is Moses Kimotho Nuthu. And I'm a shepherd or a pastor. I've been pastoring for more than 12 years now, since my ordination.
Right. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Apostle. How, growing as a child, did you know that this is something that you wanted to do as a child? You remember back in primary school when the teacher asked questions in class, what do you want to be when you grow up? Watu wengine walikuwa wanasema, I want to be a pastor. I mean, I want to be a pilot. I want to be a doctor. You know, those careers back in the day that were very much limited. It's not like today. Is this something you wanted to do since childhood?
From my soul searching since I was a child, I really wanted to be a lawyer.
Okay.
Because I was feeling like they are vindicating, like in that course, it's like they are vindicating for life of people.
Right.
So my passion was really on that area. But in terms of my my calling, I knew I'll be a servant of God in terms of a pastor. I felt that was I was very passionate about it since I was a child. And my father, who is late, John Keroki Nuthu, he was a pastor also. So when he was going to minister, we used to follow his footsteps. Wherever he's been invited, we were together with him. So he really nourished or nurtured us in that area or in that gift. So my passion was mostly to be a pastor, at the same time to be a lawyer.
Right.
Yeah.
At what age are we talking about? The primary school level or the high school level?
No, this is primary.
This is primary school.
Yeah.
So you carried on the dream to high school, and even growing up into a young adult, maturing, you always knew this is what you wanted to do, right?
Yeah, I knew this is what I wanted to do, but because I was raised up in a ghetto, there was a lot of peer pressure from the childhood friends.
Right.
Now, in my grade 4, like primary 4.
Yes.
Class 4, that is.
Class 4, yeah.
Because of the challenge that we had at home. By then, my father died in 2000.
His soul rest in peace.
Yeah, my mother came to pass on later on, 2010.
Okay.
So we were raised by a single parent. And she was a breadwinner to the family.
Right.
So most of the time, we were left behind by one of our uncle.
Right.
And one of our auntie, that they were very young also. So in growing in ghetto in a place called Kitale, Western Tiwani.
Right.
So I was inspired to be exactly what I've said, but the environment that we were raised up because of the challenges that our parents had, or my mother had.
Yes.
So it was not like so nourishing or nurturing what I was inspired. Because, for instance, my mother could go to work like 8 a.m. She's supposed to be in the office. Then she's supposed to come back by at least 8.
Thereabout.
Because of the journey from work to home.
Yes.
So during this daytime, we could find ourselves having all opportunities and privilege to indulge in some different background and some drug addictions.
Some
and
funny behaviors.
Some funny behaviors.
Yes.
For instance, we began like selling weed when I was class 4.
Marijuana?
Marijuana.
When you're in class 4?
Class 4.
And all this time you still have the dream of being a preacher?
Yes.
But you're still selling marijuana?
Yes.
What is on your mind?
Okay, by then, because of the environment that we were brought up, and there was no any parental guidance.
Okay.
Of course, our mother, she did her part as she could, but there was no strict parental guidance that could nurture like that father figure or a parent figure that is there like throughout.
Correct.
Monitoring your academic journey, monitoring how your day was,
Correct.
those kind of activities.
Yes.
Because my mother was very single and she was very committed in her work. We were a family of 5
right.
from my biological mother and biological father, but later on, my mother, she chose to help somebody else who we count as member of our family. He's our brother also.
Right.
So she could not manage all these children with the level of work that she was doing. So we find ourselves struggling a lot.
Yeah.
Schooling, sometimes eating. So we had to find a way of survival.
Balancing life.
Balancing life.
So now balancing life. When is this turning point coming along? You as a child, selling marijuana, the difficult background that you came from. As a child, when do you say now, I've had enough of this, I am changing this?
Okay, I remember one of the fine days, I remember we were so drunk.
Yeah.
This illicit brew. And we were just roaming around, kutembea mtaani tu.
Yes.
Kufuruga watu kidogo.
Naam.
Kutishia watu.
Naam.
Yeah, so there was a crusade.
Yes.
An open air meeting
Right.
that was hosted by Reverend Moses Wanyonyi wa kanisa inaitwa Deliverance Ministry.
Okay.
So they were doing their outreach, and while we were just passing by, we saw there were young men who were dancing. So that dancing they were doing, the performance, it really got our attention. We had to pause, to stand there for a while, to see that performance. And later on, with our drunkenness, after they finished the performance, we went and approached them. We told them, you guys were doing a very good dance, and we would like to be part of you.
It was captivating.
For us it was not about salvation.
Right.
But the pastor came there, he led us to salvation, but that was not our intention. Later on, we joined Deliverance Church Ministry, and we were baptized. Then later on, we were just nurtured in salvation from that foundation. But for us, ile kitu sisi ilikuwa imetushika mawazo ni dance.
The dance,
Sisi
yes.
mambo na salvation, it was not in us.
Yes.
But I thank God because of Bishop Moses Wanyonyi together with his wife, Reverend Margaret Wanyonyi. They really did a great work. After that process, we were just going drinking. We come back to the church, but at least end of the day, we could find ourselves in the church.
Right.
For us, it was about dance.
Mm-hmm. What age is this? What age
this is about 16, 17 years.
16, 17.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you found yourself in church at that time, attracted by the dance you came across on that crusade, on your whereabouts as a young person.
Yeah.
So now, what is this turning point, you as a grown-up, as a fully grown man, that you found yourself taking it professionally, standing on the pulpit, for example, and holding the microphone, and now you are a preacher?
I remember after I've come from Kitale to Nairobi,
yes,
I was a caretaker in Pipeline,
okay,
a place called Transami. That is when I began my hustling, cooking chapati, trying to find out the means of survival.
Means of survival.
Before Mambo Ijipe.
Yes.
And when I was watching, it was one of the local station. That is when I saw Bishop Michael Njoroge.
Okay.
Ministering. He had some programs on air, and I was following. While I'm doing my general cleaning in the house or plot, but it reached to a point I decided I have to go to that church because I saw they had dancers in the church, but they were not performing good for that opportunity they had.
With your background in dance now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, actually we began Sakata.
Yes.
Yeah, back then.
Yes.
So I've been, that is how I've been paying my bills for like more than 10 years in Nairobi.
Interesting.
Yeah, with those entertainment services. And that's when I met Bishop Michael Njoroge. After I saw him, I went to the church. Back then I remember my twin brother was still in Kitale. So I decided to call him. Then we formed a group. Since we went to Sarakasi Donholm, but we did there for some few days, but because of some finances challenges that we had, we could not manage moving from Embakasi to Sarakasi every day.
Commuting every single day.
Yes, that commitment.
Yes.
So I decided to form a group. I called my brother and I told him, let's come and hustle in the city.
Right.
There's some opportunity I see we can have. And that's when we approached that ministry. And we were invited by one of the friends that were working there. They were coming from our village. So we find them there, then we connected, and they gave us an opportunity to perform.
Okay.
Yes, which we did very nicely. And the bishop now, Michael Njoroge, by then, he really liked our performance.
Okay.
Then he said, no, take this amount of fare so that you don't miss tomorrow. We are having wedding of one of our pastors so that you can come and entertain us.
Okay.
That is how we went deeper. We did the work that he gave us. Then it reached to a point whereby he saw we were good in doing entertainment services. So we were hired.
Right.
With a payment, at least every month we could get a salary, sure bet. I remember after we are just doing our practices, we always had our time, apart from job now.
Yes.
And that is when we began to go to Katoloni prayers. Don't forget the inspiration from the childhood.
Right.
Still, there was something of God.
Yeah.
And we used to go with my brother for prayers and fasting, with our dreadlocks, with our peers and everything. And it reached to a point, Michael Njoroge had that scandal that happened.
Okay.
I think it was, it is 12 years ago, down the
12
line,
years ago,
if
yeah.
I'm not wrong. So he had to shift from Cabanas to Mulolongo behind 3D Hotel.
Can I interrupt you for a second?
Sure.
Which scandal is this? Can you paint a picture of this scandal that happened with Michael Njoroge at that time, 12 years ago?
All right, yeah, I remember. By then we are still dancers there.
Yes.
And there was cases we had with people. Then, but because our work was specific for dance, get our payment, we do our work, we get our payment. So we are not so much connected to the ministry.
Right.
Like to follow up the happenings.
You're doing it for the money.
Yeah, we had just business there.
Okay.
But later on, we realized there is a case that was going on in the church. Then we decided to follow up to know what was going on into deeper.
Yeah.
Because our friends there, they were very connected to us because they are from village. And that is when we discovered and realized there is rumors about a false testimony that one of the lady she gave. But for us, it was not a big deal.
Yes.
Yeah, but after like 1 or 2 weeks, then we realized that they are planning now to shift from that place.
Okay.
And that's when we heard from the news, one of our station, radio station,
Right.
and also TV programs. There is one of the breaking news that was about Michael Njoroge, and that is when it got us by surprise.
Right.
And because for us, we knew him as a prophet, because that is what we knew.
Yes.
So we went to find out from our brothers, but you know, those kind of information, unless you're part of them, you cannot be given,
Okay.
because it is not ile Waswahili husema siri watu chambiwa upatiwa wakati sasa wameingia ndani.
Wakati umeingia ndani. So at that point you were outside. You were just doing it for the money. You didn't really dig deep to understand what it was.
Yeah.
But now specifically, which controversy was
Now
it?
the controversy was this one of the lady,
Yes.
called Mwende.
Yes.
She was paid a certain amount of money,
Yes.
but it was not according to the agreement.
Okay.
Because from the history that I came to find out,
Okay.
that the bishop now, he gave the money to be given to them because they were among the people that were collected from society or different places to come and testify a false prophecy and a false testimony. So there was a difference between Mwende being given her due, like her labor.
Right.
Now the people who are supposed to give Mwende the cash, because they were pastors, but they were very drunkard.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
They were pastors, but they were drunkards.
Very drunkard.
So the whole ministry was like based on lies
Yes.
and deceit
Yes.
and manipulation.
Manipulation, a lot of sin actually,
A lot of sin.
a lot of
So
sexual
now,
immoralities.
what specifically did Mwende do? She twisted
Yes,
her.
the story of Mwende, which I came to find out,
Right.
just from them, she was paid to twist her mouth.
Okay.
And then the story will be that she had talked negative things about a certain man of God. So that is why God judged her, or God punished her because of that wickedness that she did. So later on we realized it was not so. She was supposed to be paid, but the people whom money was given to pay her, they did not, like they gave her like 2,000 instead of 10K.
They shortchanged her.
Yes.
Yes.
So she was claiming for her labor, but hawa walimwambia tutakupiga, and they fought, and they waliwachapa, by the way.
Like physically?
Yeah, physically. Sababu walikuwa wamelewa na yao wanakuja kuwasumbua, wanataka pesa zao.
Right.
Nao sasa juu pesa zao wamerevu nazo, wametumia kwa ulevi na vitu kama hizo. Sasa ikakuwa ni vita between hawa wanataka pesa,
Yes.
lakini hawa
Naam.
they don't have money to pay.
Naam.
Yes.
So now at this point, you understand what is going on in the church. This is just before you got on the microphone on the pulpit
Yeah,
as a
it is
preacher.
before. It is
That was before. And you knew all of this. So at one point now, do you climb on the mic on the pulpit and say, now I am a preacher, and then you start to preach the word of God? And even as you're preaching the word of God, what is going on in your mind? What is going on in your mind in this church or in this ministry, in this institution? You know all of these things that are happening.
That is happening.
What is on your mind while you are on the pulpit?
Okay, yeah, after just a bit, after Michael Njoroge shifted from Cabanas to Mlolongo,
Okay.
that we are still doing our entertainment.
Yes.
But because the money was gone down, we were told we will not be paid as usual because of the challenge that has occurred.
Right.
We had to understand then to find out some other hustle apart from that.
Now.
And so we were coming back to this new ministry where he began, like once a week or twice a week, because there was no a lot of commitment that we are supposed to be committed in. So after some few months, we were, as I told you, we used to go to Catalonia for prayers, and there was an old man. He was called Elijah. So when we get our dreams, because they were too difficult for us to interpret, because of that baby Christian thing.
Right.
So this Mzee used to to interpret for us the dreams. And we didn't know that he was giving Michael Njoroge our dreams, our spiritual encounters. So me and my brother, after he told us that he's going to tell Njoroge about how God can use so that he can begin to nurture you. Then, because by then I remember we had begun morning prayers in the church for around 6 to 7, just with our worldliness.
Right.
Yeah, so it reached to a point, he gave us microphone one day and he told us, we were not prepared, first of all. He told the congregants, there are young men that have been rising, and you guys, these people, like, they were dancers, but now they are not just dancers. They are men of God and women of God, men of God.
Yes.
And I want to give them an opportunity for them to pray for you, just for 10 minutes.
Okay.
And that is when we stepped at the pulpits in his allowance.
Right.
And then he gave us 10 minutes. So we did deliverance, casting out of demons. Other people, they call it, I don't know, maybe people, they call it some different names.
Yes, yeah.
But when I say deliverance, I believe people understand, like casting out of demons.
Casting out demons.
Yes.
Yes.
So we did it for those 10 minutes, which he never believed that we could be used in that kind of way. So what he did, he snatched microphone from us. Then, how you can, for instance, how you can turn a show from this side to this side with no apology.
Completely,
Yes,
right there.
Right there, okay. So that people will not focus on us. That is when we grow, we could understand his mind. And there was this one of the chemical, because it's part of this conversation.
Right.
It was, I think it is, there is a chemical, sodium, I think potassium permanganate, yeah.
Potassium permanganate.
Potassium permanganate. When you mix this chemical with water, it turns to be red like a blood.
Looks like blood when you mix it with water.
With water.
Okay.
So that's when we came to realize later. But while we were, when we finished the deliverance that we are doing, he's just snatched and take over the prayers.
Yes.
Then he said, there is a woman here who has been witched. And this woman, like the witchcraft, it is on her head.
Okay.
And he requested for that woman to come, and he asked for the water, like to pour the water on top of the head of this woman.
The woman's head.
So that he can prove the point that he wanted to drive across. So then that, because of the chemical that was on her head, because wakati walikuwa wamelala kwa madhabahu,
Naam.
Yes.
Naam.
Kuna chemical ilikuja ikawekwa kwa kichwa yake.
Naam.
Sasa hata sisi hatukujua, maana tulikuwa busy na maombi.
Naam.
Sasa alitan na kusema huyu mwanamke ako hapa amerogwa na uchawi kwa kichwa yake, na akaitisha maji. So wakati alimwaga, kweli tukaona damu inakaa ni kama mwanamke anatoa damu kwa kichwa.
So wait, the chemical was first poured on the head, and then water now.
Yeah, water now.
And then it's blood.
Yes.
In quotes, blood that flows out.
Yes.
You didn't know at that time.
We didn't got what was happening.
Do you think that the reaction is real? The blood flowing? Did you believe that?
Yeah, from the first testimony we had from Mwende now.
Yeah.
We knew this is not supposed to be logical thinking.
So where you're standing, you know that was
no. This is something that has been planned. Yeah.
Okay. So now, what are the events that follow now?
Now, after the event that followed, we were called to the office, and he told us a lot of promises. And he told us, nitakuja kuwafungulia kanisa, but mkiwa hapa kwangu, mimi sipendi watu watakatifu sana.
What does that even mean?
Sipendi. I don't like holy people. There's too much holiness that I cannot work with it. So we are, this is our boss, our pastor. So we are just listening. But after a very long conversation, he told us he will be giving us microphone on Tuesday and Wednesday for us to pray for people, like we did. But we should not pray without his guidance.
So he has to guide you on how to pray and what to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay, so now, how did you receive that? Did you receive that as when he said, now, sipendi watu watakatifu sana, I don't like holy people, too holy. Ulichukuliaje? How did you receive it? Did you think that now, this is probably a point where I I raise an objection and say, Apana, I will be holy? Or did you just receive it and continue with your service? What was the process like?
Now, the process, after the meeting, I went with my brother and we had to discuss about that conversation. And with the conversation that came on our mind, first of all, how can a pastor say that hapendi watu watakatifu sana? What does it mean? And from there, some few scriptures that we know, without holiness we cannot see God. And it was like a red flag on our side. But my brother, since he's just ni wale watu wa kusonga kasonge, twende
tukienda,
bora ni kazi, si tuko hustle. But for me it really went deep in my heart. I had to recite that thing now and then. Ni nini huyu mtu alikuwa anamaanisha hapendi watu watakatifu sana? Now later on when we were given microphone, because of that utoto wa kiroho tunaita excitement. Wakati tulikuwa tunapewa microphone, we really desired to prophesy like he does. So we didn't know the full scope. How do this prophecy come to manifestation? So you could find while we were praying for people, we are trying also to prophesy to people.
Okay.
And it was very exciting for people to hear some 2-3 things, but it was not accurate and it was not that powerful like how the Father does.
Yes.
Yeah, so it really brought us to a point whereby we have to find more. Mzee, mbona yeye anatafsiria anatabiria watu? Na sisi kitu unajaribu kusimama mbele ya watu licha kuwa umekuwa maombi aje. There's some few word of knowledge that you can receive, just normal word of knowledge. But we wanted to be prophets like him.
Yes. So now you are there, where you are sitting, you've mentioned that hauko unasikia vizuri. It was wrong, but you mentioned your brother. Your brother's name is Apostle Kevin Favor. Your brother says now kaende, let's just, he's just flowing with it. Lakini wewe kule umesimama, you're not feeling this is something wrong. This is wrong. Did you ever participate in any of those miracles in quotes?
Yeah.
Did you ever participate in those?
A lot.
Can you mention some of them?
Maybe I'll take just a bit for 1 second.
Okay.
After he saw our potential with ministry, because we really loved ministry, it was like it came and he grabbed us out of dance and everything. And he gave us the opportunity once again. And while I remember one of the findings, there was a prayer that was going on. There is some rooms that was there. Zilikuwa zinaitwa nyumba za maombi.
Okay.
So there was prayer that was going on. Then we were called to do deliverance to people in the room. And that is when I discovered something that was very fishy. There's one of the assistant pastors, I'll not mention the names. While we were praying for people, I saw like he went to someone's porch and the guy just opened. For us, we know it is prayer. The guy just opened the porch of a lady and he went through the porch and he took the phone and he took some few images or captures, some few photos. So later on, these things is building itself one by one. There is something going on here. And later on, the same woman, it was on Sunday, she was prophesied. And the things she was being prophesied, it was not the things that she had communicated with anyone.
Okay.
So I began to build this kind of prophecy from day one. There is something building when I connect myself closer with these guys. We could call them like their elder in ministry.
Yes.
Because we find them in the ministry.
Found them,
Yeah, so I began to inquire from them. So nikaenda nikamuuliza na hiyo kibeti hiyo mapicha unapiga ni ya nini? So just a conversation ya wanaume tu.
Normal conversation. Because you are almost at the same level, in the same room you're talking.
Yeah.
So what does he say now?
Akaniambia, hiyo ni mambo ingine ya kazi. But I realized that woman was prophesied. Na mimi nikikumbuka vizuri, zile picha zilikuwa zinapigwa, the prophecy was according to the information that was taken from a bag.
So the information was known already.
Yes.
So now when they are presenting themselves on the pulpit, that pastor, they already know what they are saying.
Exactly.
That those are some of the deceits. But you personally, you where you are seated now at that time, what is this 1 or 2 miracles of deceitfulness that you perhaps performed?
Performed. Okay, later on we were ordained and I was sent to the church in Bungoma.
Okay.
To be a pastor in Bungoma.
Yes.
My brother was sent in Kisumu. So I remember we had to inquire. There's some information you just don't get, you just have to dig. So kuna one of these boys, wale wanafanya kazi huko.
No.
I called them. Now, I have ministry. I have now commitment. I have to perform.
Right.
Because for us it was performance. And for me, I know we can pray for people and deliver people. But the thing about prophecy was not like him. And akiwa kwa radio, you could invite people. Kama naenda mkutano mahali, ata invite watu wa huko, kwa mfano watu wa Western. Atawaambia nakuja mkutano siku fulani. Kwa hivyo watu wanajiandaa, so watu wakisikia ni yeye, maana kuna watu wanamwamini na kumdhamini sana. They could come. Sasa hapo ndiye alikuwa anani introduce. Aniambia nao nataka kuna kijana nimelea na nataka nimwache hapa kuwa mchungaji wenyu. So nataka dakika kama 10-15 awasalimie. But later on ndio nilikuja kugundua sasa sitaki nisimame mbele ya watu na sina prophecy.
Yes.
Then I had to consult these big brothers now.
Right.
In the ministry.
Right.
Na ndio walianza kunijanjarua polepole, kunifungua macho, kuniambia no. Unajua ukienda pale kama una information ya watu na watu wanajua baba yako wa kiroho ni prophet na wewe ni deliverance na mafundisho. So what will you do? So in that kind of conversation,
yes,
nikamwambia mimi lazima nitafute information ya mtu. Akaniambia hivyo ndio unafaa ufanye. And this was after you have bought some nyama and alcohol, these people. Yeah, wanunulie kitu kwanza.
Interesting. So now unapelekwa pale pole. You're being ushered in step by step, and then this is getting into your mind slowly. So that's the first one that you did. You got someone's information, and then you went there, you did what your teacher did, used to do.
And he was very happy. He said, now this man has matured in ministry, nitawaachia hapa. And that's when I was given ushered into it, and I was given the ministry.
You mentioned you were a good person. All of these theatrics didn't sit well with you. So now you have found yourself doing them on the pulpit by yourself. You've been completely ushered in now. What is on your mind?
Number one, I was not comfortable with it, but life has to move on.
What do you mean life has to move on?
Like, these people, they know you're a prophet.
Yes.
And you have responsibility to prophesy to these people.
So now they identify you as a prophet.
As a prophet. Now the pressure is, when I stand, apart from the true calling that I've been called of deliverance and teaching, I have to prophesy.
Yes.
Because watu ambayo walikuwa wanamfuatilia, his viewers or listener from the radio or television, they know him as a prophet.
Yes.
So if I come and have lower performance of a prophet, sasa utapata we will disconnect.
Because you're like, wewe ni kama mwanafunzi.
Yeah.
So you have to do as the teacher does.
Exactly.
So this was pressure to you. Interesting. So now, how many years do you spend there under him, the late Michael Njoroge? How many years do you spend there?
I think more than 4 years.
Over 4 years?
Yes.
Or in these 4 years, you were just faking miracles, and deceiving, and
in fact,
you went more and
it became
more.
worse.
It became worse
than him.
So now, at what point do you now say, this is enough? Because you have since reformed, am I right?
Yeah.
Yes. At what point do you say, this is enough, I am turning away and I am going and I'm not coming back to this? Because from the start, your conscience was not right. Was not right. And then you dived deep into that dark world of deceit and manipulation. So now at what point do you say, enough is enough, I am reforming, I am headed to the light?
All right. My dream was to come. One of my dreams was to live in the city. But since I was sent away from the city, it was Bungoma. I was not cooperating because my heart was not there. And we always say, your peace is where your heart is. So my heart was not in Bungoma. So I had to find a pastor to nature, to leave him there. And that is when we had some difference with him because of money. Maana wale watu pesa wakitoa, licha ya kuwa the minister was very young.
Yes.
So kuna ile yenye unapata anachukua fedha. I had a bills to pay, the halls, the church rent, some few workers, maybe instruments that have been hired. So I find myself, I'm struggling a lot. And I had to shift back to Nairobi. And I told him, ulinipatia madhabahu kule Bungoma, I appreciate as a father, but nimefika mahali nimeona there are some things I'm not comfortable with, especially wakati watu wanatoa fedha za kufanya ministry ama to run the ministry inachukuliwa yote. Sasa unabaki nianze support the ministry with my finances, which I was not very financial stable by then.
Yes.
So I had to come and I shared with my brother. Then he experienced the same thing in Kisumu.
Okay.
Then we had to come back now in Nairobi. And that is when we started a church in Ruiru. We began with my brother, with one person. Later on, it grew to a very big church in Ruiru, place called Hilton. Still, he's still there with the church. So while we were ministering with him, I realized that there was some difference I had with him.
Yes.
Because for me, there are some miracle we were faking.
Okay.
To a level whereby even people can know this is fake.
Right.
And since it's as if this thing was so deep in him, and I had some difference with him.
Yes.
We were content.
The differences were because of the genuinity and the non-genuinity. You are genuine and he is not. He still wants to continue with the former past.
Exactly.
And you don't feel that is...
Yeah, nilikuwa na
this is when you brush shoulders now.
Yeah, I was feeling we have something that is original, that we can raise the church with na kanisa ikae vizuri sana.
Naam.
But he falsehood, unajua inakuwa na it had a lot of scandals.
Naam.
Kuna mshirika anasema kuna pesa yake imeibiwa sijui, na nakumbuka pesa ilikuwa inaibiwa kwa vibeti.
Naam.
I remember that.
Naam.
Na saa zingine unasikia kuna scandal, kuna mtu alikuja hapa amelipwa atoe ushuhuda ya uongo and alipwe, kuna challenge kidogo, watu wamekuja wameona hiyo muujiza wanasema no there's something that is not okay here. Sasa we are doing a lot of work, but this falsehood is killing the same labor that we are putting in.
Yes.
Sasa hapo ndio tulianza kukuwa na disconnect with my brother for a very long time.
Yeah.
Na some difference because kwa madhabahu ama kanisani hakukuangi na watu wawili ambaye ndio viongozi like vichwa.
Naam.
Since Genesis to Revelation.
Naam.
Mungu akituma mtu anamtuma mtu mmoja. Alafu ana raise wengine from that umbrella.
Yes.
Sasa sisi tulikuwa we are both heads. So sometimes he had an idea which I am opposing or I have an idea which he's opposing. So we
loggerheads all the time.
Now for 5 years now.
No.
We were having that battle. Then it reached to a point I realized no. It is time that I have to find my peace now.
Okay.
Since this ministry is there, it is stable according to him. Maana sisi huduma kukua back then ilikuwa ni wingi wa watu.
Naam.
Na since tulikuwa tumeingia in some local television.
Yes.
So we had very many people, like very many.
A huge following.
Huge following.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now, at what point does your brother now move out, or at what point do you move out? How did that happen?
Exactly. So I remember it reached to a point I had to call him somewhere in Central Park.
Yes.
We had a very long conversation. Nikamwambia mimi mahali imefika vile nasikia from my inside. It's time we are going to separate. Na to separate kwa ubaya. Ni kwa sababu me I want to find myself. I want to find there is something I feel deeply I'm missing.
Yes.
I want to find what is that. Now, because we had a brand that we used to call ourselves Twins Prophet, which was a big catch to people, especially our followers. So aliona ni kama ninavunja ile jina ambayo tumeijenga kwa muda.
No.
So nikamwambia hivyo ndio vile mimi nasikia, na sasa kwa sababu ya difference tumekuwa nazo, mimi nitafungua kanisa mahali Kahawa West, na in case nataka ukuje unisaidie, tutasaidiana kazi. Si tumesaidiana, tumejenga this ministry.
Yes.
So in case I need a hand of help, I will call you.
No.
But he was not comfortable with it.
Okay.
That is when I began on the journey of prayers and fasting to find myself.
All this time he is still in the dark.
Yes.
The dark web. So now you're praying. You moved out.
Yeah.
You moved out. So now, at what point did you have this brushing of the shoulders together with your brother? Because I understand there was a battle that went even to the courts. How did it get out of hand that you decided not? Because I understand you approached him. You mentioned Central Park. You are the one that made the first move. Let's talk. The mediation process. At what point does it now get out of hand and gets to the arms of the law in court?
I remember because there was a group that we had of these false prophets.
Yes.
For around 25 to 30 people. So I was one of the people to leave. I left the group, and it was like a case that I had to answer to our general.
Right.
And I had to confront him and tell him, si ya kwamba nimeachana na nyinyi, but I feel in my heart I want to do something different.
Yes.
From what we have been doing. Now he prayed for me, then he released me. And where I began to raise the ministry after a very long prayer, like for 3 years now. Then from my inspiration, my encounters, I was commissioned to go to Kahawa West. Then is where we went there and we began the fellowship. And because of the huge following that were coming from Ruiru, now they had to come to Kahawa West because they heard that I have opened a fellowship there.
Okay.
So the people who were still members in the church that I left, my brother's church.
Correct.
So he realized kuna washirika wanapungua kwa kanisa. Akijaribu kufuata anaambiwa wameenda kwa Moses.
Okay, so he knew wametoroka.
Yes.
Kutoka kwake
wamekuja kule chini.
What is his thought process all this time?
Yeah, now on this time, I decided now I'm not going to communicate with anybody.
Okay.
That was from the past because apart from this falsehood being just a falsehood, it is spiritual.
Okay.
It is very spiritual. So I decided I want to separate because those are directions that I received from my personal prayers. I have to separate myself from those people so that I can find my path, including my brother because he was one of them.
Correct.
So I began to do the ministry without communicating with him about anything. So alisikilia kwa washirika, tumeanza ushirika na imeanza na washirika wengine wako huko. So the beef began from there.
Okay.
Then because nikakaa kwa maombi yangu, okay, I just speak about these spiritual things because it is part of me. In my prayers, I saw that city was like wrapped, ni kama ilikunjwa na karatasi ikatupwa kwa mtaro.
Okay.
Na nikauliza Mungu in my personal prayer, what does this dream mean? Akaniambia masaa yako ya kukua Ruiru imeisha. Now you have to go where you began in Ruiru now. That is when we began to find some hall. Niliuliza to the same day tukapata hall mahali. Then tukakuja pale bypass mwisho wa chuma.
Right.
Near 40, there's a place called Fort Jesus.
Okay.
Then my brother, he's translating this as a battle now. But for me, I am investing a lot of my time in prayers to get my spiritual path. And alikuja siku moja wakati siko, akaona mahali kanisa iko. But one of the washirika aliniambia your brother was here. So I was asking myself, mbona amekuja? Unajua kazi nyingi tulikuwa tunafanya ni akili sana.
Okay.
So lazima tufikirie huyu mtu amekuja na hajaniambia what was the reason. Then one of the mshirika alikuwa huko, alikuja one of the Sunday akiwa analia sana. Na alikuja akaniambia kuna kitu inaendelea, kuna ndugu yako na mtoto wangu, kuna uhusiano amekuwa na mtoto wangu wako underage. Na niko kanisa. Then I knew the repercussion of that thing.
Okay.
Sasa nikasema despite of the challenge I had with my brother before tuachane, na since I had to separate myself with him, let me go and share with him as a brother now. Mwambie kuna mambo unafanya na hii mambo uko hivi na hivi, there's something that is not okay. Na kuna mama fulani unamjua na mtoto fulani na fulani akaniambia kuna shida fulani. We had a very small conversation which hatukuachana tena vizuri.
Okay.
So beef inaendelea ikijijenga. Difference.
Yes.
So kuna siku nikawa nimepanga with my uncle.
Yes.
Maana we are the firstborns. Now when my mother died, she was married when she was very young. So my father died also when he was very young. So mahari ya wazazi haikuwa imelipwa. So one of my uncle approached me and akaniambia kuna mambo nataka kuongea na wewe na Kevin, but since mjaweza kukua pamoja in good terms, nitaongea na kila mtu on their terms. Nikamwambia ongea na Kevin. Akamwambia kuna mahari tunafaa twende tuanze kulipa ndio ifungulie wale wengine. Maana kwetu kama jamii wa Kikuyu, kama mama yetu alikuwa firstborn, wale ambayo wako nyuma yake, the siblings, mahari yao iweze kapokelewa kwanza.
Okay.
Mpaka yule wa kwanza afungue mlango yao wengine. Yeah, so I saw it was very something that is very sensitive. Na kwa sababu I had carried the burden of my uncle and my grandmother, then I decided one of the fine nights to approach my brother. Maana ametafutwa na shosho na wajomba hashiki simu. Anawaambianga tu nitaongea na nyinyi. Almost 9 months ikaisha. Na kuna one of my cousin alikuwa anafaa kulipiwa mahari. Lakini sasa naye wajomba na shangazi awaambii kuna challenge hapa, wanawaambia nyinyi ngojeni. So the father from my cousin side walikuwa pia wana challenge, wanashindwa kwa nini tunataka kulipa mahari na tuko tayari. Na huku kwa hii boma hatupokelewi. So I had to approach my brother, nimwambie shosho and our uncles, this is what they were thinking because of ABCD. Hiyo siku nikienda, maana I observe the mood, we had a difference bado. We can just feel it from the atmosphere.
Yes.
So nikaona huyu mtu we are not in terms. Nikajua sasa I'll just carry on that assignment.
Yes.
Nitafute fedha, I go there and I stand on the shoe of my father. Nilipe mahari tufungulie wale wengine mlango. But my uncle wako wanataka hivyo sana sababu ya kusije kukuwa na conflict ya kifamilia baadaye. So nikasema hiyo ujumbe ninaachia the wife now that night. I just leave the message to the wife in case hata isikia kutoka kwangu, aisikie kutoka from the wife.
Yes.
Na ndiye akisikia tumesongeza mambo ya kifamilia, sikuje kusema mbona alifungiwa mlango nje. Sikujua kumbe he had a beef with me. Tukiwa tunaongea maana sasa nimeachia wife, wakati alisikia message he ran very quickly kunifuata. Na nikaona mtu ndio yule anakuja. I decided to sit somewhere. Nimungoje tuongee tumalize just beside the church.
Yes.
Sikujua ameweka machete hapa nyuma.
Machete?
Yeah. He had machete, ameitaki ni kwa trouser vizuri na amevaa koti, akikuja hata ungeiona. Now since I had some spiritual battle with him, I knew huyu mtu you can just feel kuna kitu is not okay. But since of the message that I was to deliver, I had to do that. Maana sikutaka kukuwa na mambo mengine baadaye. So nikiwa nimekaa chini, tulianza convert. Nikamuuliza Kevin, between me and you, who is the elder? Now, because I want to bring him to this sense.
To reality.
Yes, maana yeye ametangulia kuzaliwa kwangu na 3 years.
Naam.
So nikamuuliza, akaona ni kama maybe I'm becoming too offensive.
Okay.
But nikamwambia umeacha hiyo majukumu ya firstborn. Sasa mimi nataka kuichukua kuitekeleza. Maana tutakungoja ndio mambo isonge.
Naam.
Na kwa sababu yeye alikuwa amejipanga. Ikiwa nimeketi tu nimeweka mguu wangu mmoja juu ya nyingine. Niliona ametoa panga. Sasa from that pre-seconds hapo ndio sita, I cannot tell exactly
what
how
happened?
Because I was not expecting.
Okay.
Alitoa panga kama amenilima mguu, amekata mguu.
Mguu which part?
The
thigh?
On my patella.
Okay.
Kwa magoti.
Okay.
The left knee. So within those seconds nilipata niko chini and mguu yangu nilisikia imekufa ganzi safari moja, so sikuelewa exactly what is happening.
What time of day was that?
It was around 8:45 going to 9
PM.
Yes, walikuwa na kesha and this is happening just in his church.
Okay.
Nje ya kanisa.
Naam.
In fact washirika wanakuja wakiingia kwa kanisa.
Naam.
So
people saw that?
Yeah, there's some few members who saw.
So now, what are the events that follow? You're bleeding, obviously.
Yes, I'm bleeding.
Katwa, obviously. Does he chop you again?
Yes. Ingine
How many
ilikuja
times?
It was 2 times. Maana niko chini amesimama.
Yes.
Sasa akija pande hii napanga, maana I was protecting the upper side of my body.
Yes.
So yako the other side of the leg. Right. So akija hii side nazunguka. Na akaniambia leo nataka nikuue tukuzike vile tulizika mama yetu. Then ndio niliangalia mguu yangu nikaona ina bleed and I knew no this man is very serious. Nikiwa kwa hiyo some few seconds kufikiria if this thing is real, ndio alirusha panga ingine tena sasa. Ikakuja ikanikata chini lakini nilitoa mguu. Ikakuwa minor injury.
Okay.
Sasa nikaona this man is serious. Hapa sasa sio ndugu ile mimi najuanga.
Are people reacting?
Yes.
Or people are just watching?
There are some, maana sasa ndio kesha kwa inataka kuanza.
Naam.
There are some few people wenye wanakuja kuingia kwa kesha. Na since hiyo barabara inakuwa ni barabara ya watu.
Naam.
Kuna watu walikuwa wanapita bado.
Naam.
So watu wakikuja kuangalia what is happening, alikuwa anawaambia huyu ni mwizi. Muachane na huyu mwizi. Na unajua mji tumehubiri for a long time kidogo.
Okay.
Kuna watu wakikuja wanaangalia no these are brothers.
They know you.
Yeah, they know me. So yeye anawathreat anawaambia this is a family issues.
Yes.
Na kama unataka kujipata police station leo wewe ingilia. Now nilisikia sasa ni kuanguka nitaanguka maana nimepoteza damu nyingi sana. Bahati mzuri kuna mama ambaye alishuhudia hiyo kitendo, ndiye alienda akaita mtu wa motorbike. Akamwambia kuna pastor fulani namjua na tumekuwa hapo tukaambiwa tutoke hapo. Sasa wewe enda tu umbebe. So that is when that man came and he threatened the man sana. Na mke wake alikuwa kwa mlango akimbembeleza, baby usimkate tena, na mzee wa kanisa.
Naam.
Na huyo mtu ndiye alikuja akapersist sana. Yeye anamtishia lakini alikuja akanibeba. Na sasa tukaenda nikaingia kwa OB, ilikuwa pale Gitambaya police station.
Okay.
Roiro. So nikaandikisha OB, nikaenda Roiro hospital for the first aid.
Yes.
Na from there sasa ndio nikaenda Gatondo hospital.
Yes. So fast forward now, how do you find yourself in court? Mko kotini?
After all that while nimekuwa kwa hospitali, reached to a point wakati sasa nimemaliza surgery, nimeshughulikiwa, nimerudi ni recover. It took like a month.
Okay.
So pale police station nilisikia kwamba ndugu yangu alienda pia akachukua OB that day.
Okay.
Na nikajiuliza huyu mtu amenikata na yeye ameenda amenichukulia OB.
Okay.
Na mimi najua hiyo siku we didn't fight.
Yes.
So nikaona now this man want to finish me completely.
Yes.
Now I had to respond very quickly. Nikaenda pale police station. Little did I know. Pale police station kuna Copland mwenye alikuwa anashughulikia kesi yangu.
Yes.
Alikuwa anaitwa Musa. Nilikuja kuangalia document yangu ndio pia mimi nianze kujaza sasa zile mambo za P3.
Yes, the P3 form.
The P3 form. Na kuna zile document nilikuwa nimempatia wakati najaza zile process. Ndio zilikuwa zimepotea sasa.
Okay.
I want to proceed with the P3 form, lakini sasa zipatikani zimepotea for another 1 month.
Do you think that was compromised by your brother?
Yeah,
because he was you know that?
I know it was compromised.
So he got there before you.
Yeah.
Na kaenda ka compromise the legal processes. So how now everything has been compromised. How do you find yourself in court? How does this document get to court?
Yeah, there was a woman, she was a co-worker, like one of the worker in police station. I approached her. Nikamuuliza, madam, I don't remember the name. Kesi ikifikia hapa, maana hii kesi hatusongi. Kesi ikifikia hapa mtu anafanya nini? Is there any around office yenye iko senior than this? Akani advise. Akaniambia enda pale Royal Station. Kuna OC wa crime. Anaitwa Mr. Biketi.
Okay.
And that's when I just ran there very quickly.
Yes.
Nikampata. Akaniambia nataka kusikiza hiyo kesi ielewe. Nikamwambia tumekuwa huko so for some few months na kesi yangu haijashughulikiwa. Yeah, so akataka kusikiza historia from the foundation now. Then that is when it began. So my brother was summoned also. He came there. Na akaanza kuulizwa maswali maana nilikuwa nishaongea yangu. Akaulizwa na mke wake wakaja kama walikuwa hiyo siku akaanzia hapo. That is how it went.
Yes.
So mimi nilikuwa tu na swali moja nauliza my brother, mimi najua ulinikata, but I just want one thing to know. The reason ya kunikata ni gani?
No.
Sina mambo mingi.
No.
Mimi uniambie tuelewe ni nini imefikia kubwa. Ifike mahali unikate. Ni nini tunaulizana? Mimi sijaingia kwa nyumba yake.
Okay.
Kutongoza the wife. No.
Nothing.
Hakuna pesa tunadaiana. Hakuna shamba mahali.
No.
Tuliachiwa ya kwamba tuna kesi nayo.
The rivalry was because of the ministry.
The ministry.
According to you.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So now, how do you settle the matter out of court? Because I understand the matter was settled out of court. In an out of court agreement, our constitution provides the legality for such. At what point now do you decide this let's talk out of court? Do you feel remorse for your brother? Because this is your blood, this is your kin. How do you decide to settle the matter out of court?
It was requested by our family members, the elders now in the family from my father's side, since they had that story. But he twisted now the story.
Yes.
Ikakuwa sasa ni tofauti, ni opposite, sio vile mambo ilikuwa. And I was given that information, maana the elders from my father's side, the uncles now, walikuwa wanataka tukuje nyumbani, maana wanataka kusikia hiyo kitu vizuri. Na nikasema mimi sitakuja kwanza, akuja awaambie vizuri. Alafu mimi nikuje tukiwa naye sasa tuongee. Also from the mother side, maana hiyo mambo iliwasumbua sana. So it went on, but hakukuwa tayari yeye sasa kukuja nyumbani either. Kukuja tupatane, we confront this matter.
Yes.
Na the proceeding of the case is going on. Akawa anatoka na bond. Anafanya kesi akiwa nje.
Akiwa nje, yes.
Yeah, so the process continued. Ikafika mahali after a very long time, almost a year. Nikasema no. Huyu mtu end of the day, I know when my parent died, like my mother, when I came to Nairobi, I took my family back to Nairobi because I needed my sibling wasome hivyo. My brother pia hivyo, nikaona mahali tumetoka, nikasema no. This is enough. Hata kama itakuwa ni kama kuna mambo ingine, then I decided no. Wacha hiyo kesi ishe.
So kesi imeisha, you withdrew the case completely now.
Yeah, we went to court and withdrew.
Yes, because our constitution provides the power for that. You as the complainer, you are able to withdraw the case and say, I don't want to proceed with this. That's the end of it. Yeah. Is that what you decided?
Yeah, I decided that.
Okay, so now that's in order. Let's now go to your reformed side, Apostle Moses Kimoto, this reformed man with the church, is it still in Ruiru?
No, we had to shift because of my security
reasons.
Yes.
Reasons. So now, where is the church based?
Now we are just doing fellowship indoors.
Indoor fellowship.
Yes. We don't disclose where our church is because I know there is some insecurity that is
insecurity. Yeah, insecurity is because of insecurity reasons.
Yeah.
You have since reformed. Do you at one point feel sorry for the people that were deceived in your previous past? Do you feel sorry for the masses that perhaps you deceived and Michael Njoroge the late deceived, together with your brother Apostle Kevin Favor? Do you feel sorry for those masses?
Yeah, actually it happened a lot. And what I did, I had to confront those people. When I went back to Ruiru, I went and I told them everything.
Yes.
And I told them, whether you stay here or you decide also to go, this is the truth.
Yes.
This was a lie, this was a lie, this was a lie. And if you have, it is in church service, if you have a question that maybe you have ever had, I'm here, ask me and I will tell you. And of course, it really affected the ministry because some, they knew the reality. But I was healed from the inside.
Yes.
And I was very decisive. I decided I'm not going back because of what people think or say.
Right.
I've made my mind. And it really took a long time.
Let's talk about those people, the same people that were feeling deceived. What do you think is on their mind all this time? Like, immerse yourself in their shoes.
Yeah.
What do you think is on their mind? Do you think that affects their belief systems?
A lot.
Has anyone ever come to you and say they are struggling with belief?
It happens. I remember there's one of my spiritual daughter that she's very close to me.
Yes.
I remember kuna wakati, maana yeye alikuwa anajua we are prophets. So kuna watu tulituma wakaenda wakaweka the tortoise.
Naam.
And those scary animals.
Right.
Ikae kama uchawi.
Right.
Tuhaka na ingine tulitumanisha kende keko kwa nyumba yake. Na maana kuna pesa tulikuwa tunataka kutoka kwake. So pesa ikawa haitapatikana.
Yes.
So ikakuwa ni gari ndiye atauza. So he had to sell the car. Yeah. So after my process of healing, we are still communicating, but she's one of the daughters, and she's called Lucy. She's one of the daughters that really stood with me a lot during my difficult moments. Maana nilikuja nikamwambia ukweli, hizi vitu zote unaona na gari yako vile ilienda, it was false. Hakukuwa na kitu kama hiyo.
Okay.
We cried together. She forgave me na wale wengine. Then we had to continue.
Right.
Yeah.
Apostle, today in Kenya and even in Nairobi around, but let's talk about the country, not to sitoe the other cities from the picture. In Kenya today, there has been a rise of controversial preachers still happening today. They are fleecing and exploiting Kenyans still. What are some of your thoughts and advice on such, especially from a believer's point of view? What are your thoughts regarding the same? Okay. And even to the pastors themselves? To the pastors,
okay. Number one, false prophets, they are taking advantage of these gullible people because they are seeking for miracle. Now, because they are false, they know. Nyinyi watu tunapatania kanisani tunamalizania.
Naam.
Na wao wanasema hii Nairobi hatujakuja kusaidiwa ni kusaidiana.
That's what they say?
That's what they say. So, what they do, wana pair advertisement kwa testimonies.
Okay.
Na zile testimony ni zile za watu wamelipwa kuja watoe testimony.
Okay.
Na pengine tuseme for instance, and I'm speaking this because I've did it for a long time. So utaona kama ni mafuta watu wanataka watu wajue mafuta ndio inakuanga na power. Utapata testimony, mtu atalipwa kuja atoe testimony based on that oil. Kutoka aanze kutumia ile vitu imemfanyia. Mfano mtoto alikuwa mgonjwa akaombewa akapona, sisemi haifanyiki maana I believe. But I want to in my context to show mahali watu wanadanganywa na hizo vitu. Na hizo miujiza mara mingi utasikia they are based in uplifting man of God. Now hiyo miujiza inakuanga ni ya kutoa God to the scene. So that any testimony enye utaisikia ni ya kuinua ibada fulani, sio Mungu. Ni ya kuinua mchungaji fulani, sio Mungu. Inakuanga ni false. Na target yao ni kwa sababu wanataka kutumia hiyo testimony kushika mawazo ya watu. So that they can believe in that material na wakuje wainunue. Lakini sasa the damage they are bringing in the spiritual realm, now they have changed the faith of people from God to begin to believe in these material things.
Right.
Yeah, so so spiritual aspects wametoa watu kuamini Mungu.
Naam.